Hi.
You gonna read to the Keira's class?
Yeah,
What are you gonna read?
this book. Little Miss Curious.
Nice.
Are you
Very
curious
nice.
about this book?
I am
Read it.
very curious.
Read
Woo!
it. Today I'll be reading Little Miss Curious. So here I go. Little Miss Curious is a very curious sort of person. Just look at her house. It's a very curious shape, isn't it?
Oh, what shape is that?
A triangle.
No, not a triangle.
It's a candy cane.
It's something used at the end of a sentence.
A hook.
What? It's like a hook. What? Does anybody know what that's called?
A wheel.
A question mark. A
I know
question
that,
mark.
but I forgot what it was called.
Okay.
Now look at her garden. That's curious too, isn't it?
Oh, what shape is that?
A question mark is
Right.
something in Mario Kart. What? Now look at Little Miss Curious. She's curious looking too, and she also has a very curious nature. She wants to know the how, why, and what of everything.
What's on her hair? A question mark.
It's a bow. One day, Little Miss Curious headed off to town. Why do doors squeak? Yet they are not small and furry with pink ears and long tails. She asked her door as she went out. Of course, the door didn't answer. Miss Kathy, could you clean my glasses? Why do flowers live in beds but never sleep? She asked the flowers in her garden. They just smiled knowingly. Then she saw a worm. Why do worms in nonsense land wear bow ties? Yes, that's for me to know and you to find out, said the worm, laughing. It has a bow tie. Later, close to town, but not yet there, Little Miss Curious met Mr. Nonsense. Are you curious to find out what she asked him? Well, go on then. Turn the page. I'm curious, began Little Miss Curious, to know why that sandwiches are called sandwiches if they don't have any sand in them. It just so happens, said Mr. Nonsense, that this is a sand sandwich. Sand is a favorite of mine. Happy Christmas, he said. Then Mr. Nonsense ran away, holding his sandwich carefully so the sand didn't fall out. Finally, Little Miss Curious actually arrived in town. Did I hear you ask why? Well, you are curious, aren't you? But are you as curious as Little Miss Curious? Little Miss Curious had gone to town to visit the library. I wonder, would you be able to help me, she asked. Of course, said Miss Page, the librarian. What are you looking for? I'm looking for a book, began Little Miss Curious. A book that will tell me why the sky is blue. And why combs have teeth but can't bite? And why chairs have legs but can't play football? And why? And she went on and on and on until there was a very long line of people stretching behind her, growing longer by the minute. That's enough, cried Mrs. Waits. Next, please! But why, Little Miss Curious started to ask. Then, without quite knowing how or why, she suddenly found herself out in the street. How curious, thought Little Miss Curious. As she walked along the street, Little Miss Curious asked herself, why is everybody giving me such a curious look? And why is Little Miss Careful making a face and waving her umbrella at me? That's because it's going to rain? We don't think so, do we? In the ground. Curious ran off. Are you going to ask why? Are you becoming as curious as Little Miss Curious? Can you guess where she ran off to? Is she going to the park? Is it for somewhere road? Neither can I. Come back, Little Miss Curious, and tell us where you're going. You say we're also very curious. Yes, we really are. The end.
Oh, good book. Good job.
Where did she go?